You're listening to Civic Media. Stay up to date on the latest news and information for your local community and Wisconsin by signing up for our free email newsletter. Visit civicmedia.us/email to get started. This is your WGBW Daily News Roundup for the Talk of Green Bay, 97.9 FM and 1590 AM.
Civic Media News. I'm Terry Bell. Here's what Wisconsin needs to know. Vice President Kamala Harris is in Wisconsin today for campaign stops in La Crosse, Milwaukee, and Green Bay. It's her sixth trip to Wisconsin since becoming the Democratic nominee. Republican Donald Trump was last in Wisconsin on October 6. He has no events scheduled in Wisconsin for now. The number of absentee ballot drop boxes in Wisconsin is far fewer than 4 years ago. Wisconsin Elections Commission Administrator Megan Wolf says there were more than 500 drop boxes in more than 430 communities 4 years ago. Now she can only confirm about 78 of them in 42 communities. Milwaukee and Madison have 14 drop boxes each. Racine has 7. Most places with drop boxes have 1. Some unsolicited text messages about voting in Wisconsin are designed to confuse people, not help, so says Wisconsin Elections Commission Administrator Megan Wolf.
I get very frustrated when these groups send out information and they don't get the facts right because it confuses voters.
You can find the facts at myvote.wi.gov. All 3 election workers in Westfield quit this week. About 800 people live in Westfield, which is just northeast of the Dells. They reportedly quit because of a dispute over a local recall election last month. The resignations come as early in-person voting begins next week. The Marquette County Deputy Clerk will run Westfield's November election. 24 Wisconsin high schools are getting new AEDs. Sudden cardiac arrest is a leading cause of death among young athletes. The WIAA is working with the National Federation of State High School Associations Foundation on the effort. AEDs can greatly increase the chances of survival when they're used right away. Wisconsin's haunted house attractions offer a wide variety of thrills in the second half of October. State Tourism Secretary Ann Sayers says a popular family-friendly draw is Jack-O-Lantern Nights at the zoo in Racine.
It's more than 1,000 jack-o'-lanterns. They light up the night through the end of October, and they're intricately carved into cats and scarecrows and other Halloween shapes, and then they line the pathways that just dazzle the visitors.
There's more at travelwisconsin.com. I'm Terry Bell, Civic Media News. Here's what you need to know closer to home.
For WGBW News, I'm Lisa Hale. The candidates for the 30th Senate District were both invited to a forum sponsored by 9 to 5 Wisconsin and Main Street Alliance last night. Jamie Wall, a Green Bay consultant who's the Democratic candidate for the 30th Senate District, said the key to affordable health care is for an expansion of Badger Care.
One of the easiest and most obvious things we can do is do what 40 other states have done, which is accept the federal money to expand Medicaid, which we call Badger Care in this state. And that if we did that, we would be able to insure about 90,000 Wisconsinites.
Wall also said that he is pro the legalization of marijuana in Wisconsin.
Every other state around us, I think, except for Iowa, has already legalized marijuana for recreational use. And again, the fact that we haven't been able to do that even for medicinal purposes is a symptom of the kind of backwards-looking leadership that we've had in the state legislature for the past 10 or 15 years.
Wall appeared at the candidates' forum last night. Jim Rafter, his Republican opponent, was invited but did not attend. The Green Bay Common Council will continue to have an invocation or prayer before its meeting for the foreseeable future, but they've asked the mayor and city staff to draw up guidelines. Mayor Eric Genrich.
I firmly believe in the principles of pluralism and religious, cultural, social pluralism, and this was a great example of why that is so meaningful. It offers all of our alders the opportunity to center us before we begin important deliberations on behalf of the city.
Alder Craig Stevens asked for the discussion on the possibility of removing the invocation, but he was not in attendance for the meeting on Tuesday. The Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction has posted state general school aids that districts will receive during the current school year. General school aids are the largest form of state support for PK through 12 schools in Wisconsin. Aid varies widely from districts based on an equalization formula. The Appleton Area School District is getting about 9.88% more than they did last year. The Green Bay area public schools will receive a 7.02% increase, and Oshkosh School District is getting a 10.26% increase in state general school aid. Buying tickets to area venues should be a safe, rewarding experience. But in Green Bay, there are some third-party vendors that can sometimes cause issues. So TicketStar, the ticket-selling vendor for the Widener, the Resch Center, Ashwaubenon Performing Arts Center, and Meyer Theater, held a conference Wednesday reminding consumers that the safest way to purchase tickets is from the venue directly. The first site coming up for a ticket search is usually not the venue holding the event. And that's what you need to know. I'm Lisa Hale, WGBW News.
It's the Bucks and the Mavericks. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. The Bucks are in Dallas to take on the Mavericks in their final preseason game tonight. Chris Middleton had surgery on both his ankles in the offseason. Was he able to practice yesterday? Doc Rivers.
No, we didn't even think about it. He did everything else, all our skeleton stuff. So he did some one-on-one yesterday live, which is really good. So he's getting there.
Not going to play tomorrow.
No, he won't play tomorrow.
NFL, the Packers' new place kicker, Brandon McManus, worked out with the team, looked good in practice. The Packers host the Texans Sunday. College football, Badgers quarterback Braden Locke talked about facing another Big Ten rival this Saturday, the Northwestern Wildcats.
Yeah, I think it's just a week-to-week focus. We've got to continue to get a week better. We've got to continue to practice really well. In this league, you really can't look ahead or look back. If we've seen anything this college football season, it's that any given Saturday, somebody can beat somebody. So we got to respect our opponent. We got to respect, what they do. And the best way for us to do that is by preparing really well. We've got to go out and play a good game if we want to win. If we want to win on Saturday.
That's Wisconsin quarterback Braden Locke. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. Imitation is the highest form of flattery, so they say. If that is the case, here are 9 famous musicians who should be flattered by a new album from artist Halsey. Her 5th studio album is perfectly titled The Great Impersonator. The 30-year-old singer-songwriter mimics 9 artists, including Dolly Parton, David Bowie, Dolores O'Riordan, Cher, and Bruce Springsteen. The Great Impersonator is available for download October 25th. Casting Al Pacino as Michael Corleone in The Godfather had a ripple effect of people almost getting fired, including Al Pacino and director Francis Ford Coppola, who fought to get Pacino in the film over the studio's choice, which was Robert Redford. Pacino said it was Coppola changing the schedule so he could film the scene where Michael kills the Turk and McCluskey in the Italian restaurant so he could show it to studio executives at Paramount because he knew they'd love it. They did, and history was made. Pacino's book Sonny Boy, a memoir, is available October 22nd. Comedian Jerry Seinfeld regrets saying it was the extreme left that killed comedy. He changed his position on his polarizing words and said they aren't true, according to Variety. Seinfeld appeared on Tom Papa's Breaking Bread podcast and equated his statements about political correctness in comedy to moving the gates on a ski hill, which barely made sense. Speaking of the filthy rich, if you haven't spent all your Christmas money already on autographed Bibles, gold hoop shoes, and cheap watches, Taylor Swift has announced that she will release new products before Black Friday to help people with their Christmas shopping and put a little walking around money in her own pocket. Swift will release an anthology edition of her latest album, Tortured Poets Society, on CD and vinyl, as well as an Eras tour book. The vinyl album will run you $60, but that price includes a 12x12 poster. It may sound tiny, but it's actually the perfect size for any tree fort. Well, if you haven't had enough of the Monster series and the Menendez brothers on Netflix, you might be interested in what's on tap for season 3, especially since it has a Wisconsin connection. Sons of Anarchy's Charlie Hunnam will play Ed Gein. The show has just added a few season pros to surround Hunnam in Laurie Metcalf, Tom Hollander, and Olivia William. Metcalf will play the mother of Ed Gein, Hollander will play Alfred Hitchcock, and Olivia Williams will play Hitchcock's wife Alma. Sounds whimsical. Dog and superhero lovers, have I got a film for you. Variety reports that Krypto the Superdog, Superman's companion, will have a role in James Gunn's upcoming Superman film. Gunn announced the newest cast member on social media since October is Adopt a Shelter Dog Month. In case you were wondering, yes, Krypto is also from the planet Krypton, Superman's home planet. The director says Krypto was inspired by his own dog, who reportedly is a very good boy, but a terrible actor. For more showbiz fun, tune in to Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Mostly sunny and breezy today with a high in the low 60s this afternoon. Tonight it'll be clear with a low dropping into the low 40s. Tomorrow, sunshine with a high in the upper 60s. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Outside now, it's 40.
That's your WGBW Daily News Roundup from Civic Media. Subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you find your podcasts. Find more news at WGBW.FM. The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.